All right, this is a new gun for me. It is a Colt competition in 45 ACP. What I'm going to do is do some necessary upgrades on this gun. I have put the red grips and a black Wilson Combat grip foil on here, but that'll come off here in just a moment. Even though Colt makes a fantastic pistol, I was able to pick between two, which I have always said is my preferred method of handling 1911s, is pick the better one. The nice thing about 1911s is that for the most part, everything on here is forged, including the slide stop, the hammer, and most of the other parts, like the pins and other things. However, there are some MIM parts, there are some plastic parts on this gun that I would like to replace. Mainly, you have the mainspring housing here is made of plastic. You also have the magazine release here is made of a cheap MIM, as well as the disconnector and sear are made of MIM parts, which, look, there's nothing wrong with them as of right now, but this is a forever gun. I bought this to celebrate kind of some significant changes in my life. I like to buy guns to commemorate those things. So what we have here is the Wilson Combat bulletproof magazine release. What we also have is a 19-pound hammer spring reduced power to lighten that up a little bit. I've got the stainless checkered front strap foil that will go on here just to match a little bit better than the black one. This is the important part, the bulletproof disconnector from Wilson Combat, part 573, and the part 314, the bulletproof sear. Now these are made of machined, I believe, bar stock parts. I also have the mainspring housing, full size, and this is made, of course, of metal, and it is a checkered grip. Now, I also have a bulletproof plunger assembly. I like to put these in every gun that I have. Even though Colt may use machine parts, I still like to put this in. It's a $9 upgrade. I also have some bushings that will go for the grip, just so that I can always line the hardware up. The other thing is an extra power firing pin return spring. This is something that's a good idea to have on a 70 series gun. There's nothing wrong with the Colt one. And now I've also done something that you should do on every one of these guns as well, which is a bulletproof thick flange government bushing. Now these are a little bit tighter than the factory one. The factory one is around, I believe, 590 thousandths, and then this one is around 570 something thousandths. I do have a Nighthawk one as well, and I may decide whichever of those fits better or looks the best, but I also have the matching ringed cap for the extended, it says long here, so the 587 and 588 go together. So those parts will go together with this, and then once we have some idea, I will give you a further review of the gun. We actually didn't. I was lying to myself. I don't need to do hand fitting on this. It just didn't line up correctly, but it is a really tight fit, but I'm okay with that. So now what we need to do is just get this lined back up the right way. That's all together. I just wanted to show everybody, here's what we've done with this gun. Okay, so I have, instead of using the Wilson Combat set, which is great, I actually measured the inside of the Wilson Combat government bushing, and it was about 0.57 something or other. Now, these barrels are supposed to be 0.580. They aren't always 0.580. So what I've got is I had a Nighthawk Commander set lying around that included this extended long nose plug here. Commander bushings and plugs fit in government series, but not the other way around. So this one was in the 5.6 something, which actually matches this a little bit after a tiny bit of inlet with this barrel. So I'll be using this instead. So this is a Nighthawk. Fits a little bit tighter than this one, and of course you can still see functions flawlessly, screws on and off really easily. So what we've done though is that we have now replaced the rear mainspring housing with this Wilson Combat metal one. I do like to use the Wilson Combat foil. This will darken up over time. From 10 feet, you really can't tell, but when holding the gun, it feels awesome. I went ahead and put the bushings on just because it helps get these screws lined up. They always back themselves out a little tiny bit, and so you will have to kind of reset them a few times when you've got them installed. So we have also, like I said, added these red Colt grips. I went ahead and pushed back the spring a little bit so I can get a little bit more tension on the grip safety. When I went ahead and installed the bulletproof plunger set, what I've noticed is that this is a little bit harder to click on and off, which is what I want. I want that safety to never be accidentally engaged. I want it to feel like I'm digging into it. So that's perfect. I have added the higher level spring for the firing pin, and then we have changed the interior of that mainspring housing spring to a 19-pound. That spring is a little bit weird shaped in that one end of it is a little bit thicker, so if you install it backwards, this spring will get hung up. I installed the larger side on the bottom. Make sure that you're doing that if you do have one that is slightly conically shaped so that it does go up and down really easily when you push the top of the plunger for the mainspring. So now that we have the disconnector and sear, our trigger is actually a little bit tighter. There's a snappiness to it. And then of course here, what you want to do is make sure that you are always checking your trigger. Now, what I need to do is do a little bit of adjustment with this because it seems like my grip safety is not wanting to return every time. You see this? So I need to do a little bit more adjustment. That's okay. You're going to do a lot of adjustment. I actually thought for a while I was going to need to do some fitting with the sear, but luckily I didn't have to. So the nice thing is, though, what we can have is just a really nice little trigger brake. It's a little bit harder than stock. Now, this is probably more of a combat sear. I can lower the spring tension on this, but I actually do feel that the hammer goes down quite a bit more gently, which I think does help with the trigger feel in general. I think as this trigger does want to break in with the hammer as well, that will take some time. So the one thing I want to do is make sure that the safety on this is working. I think that what I have is probably a little too much tension, to be perfectly honest, which is, you know, I mean, that's not a bad thing. I'm probably grabbing that. Now, I could probably shave a little bit of material off of that, but what I'll need to do is just pull out the spring there and actually relieve a little bit of that tension just to give it a little bit less. You see this? You'll hear it click. Yeah. So I think that the spring is holding it just a teensy bit too tight, but that's okay. There are lots of things that you'll have to get tuned in, but let's just, so I'm using a 47D Wilson Combat magazine here. Absolutely goes in perfectly. Here is the magazine extended magazine release that's bulletproof. So at this point, we've got a great setup gun that will be awesome for perpetuity, you know, given all of these parts. Now, the reason I went with a Colt is that just about all the parts on this gun, save for a few, are actual forged metal parts. The ones that are not, you'll have a cast grip safety and a cast thumb safety. These are good parts even though they're Colt, or because they're Colt, even though they are cast. I'm not worried about them. My other Colt pistol here still has the cast grip safety. However, the thumb safety on this one, I did go with a bulletproof. So that's not something that you have to do. I also went with a bulletproof slide stop. It's not necessary on a Colt. You know, that being said, this part is going to be forged. Of course, the barrel is a national match barrel, which is really good. If you see it says NM on there. And so that means with a match bushing on the front, this will be a very accurate gun. This one has adjustable no-vac target sights, which is one of the reasons why I want it. It's carryable. You don't always have to worry about these type of sights that will have a lot of possibility of hanging up on your clothing, because I do like to wear a shoulder rig. So that being said, with the grip on the front, it's nice. I can tactily feel the magazine release there. It's just long enough to where I can have a good grip on it. And this gun has a nice bit of weight to it. As a stainless Series 70, it's definitely going to have a great trigger and recoil mitigation. So I think that that's one of those things where I'm really excited. Now it's just I need to go put some range time in with this gun, and once I get the trigger exactly adjusted to where I want it to be, once I get this spring tension set exactly where it needs to be, I'll be very satisfied with this. But overall, less than, I'd say, $1,250 in parts and the gun itself, and I think that that's a great price for what you're getting here. Generally speaking, if you were getting into the Dan Wesson territory, you'd probably have a little bit better slide to frame fit, and you'd probably have a couple more of the tool steel parts. However, I do believe that that where we are at right here could get you into that same sort of territory as the Dan Wesson or similar. However, I do believe that that if you like Colt, you can definitely have a Colt that runs definitely in the same sort of category that a lot of the Dan Wesson pistols do, with a lot of the higher end parts. So other than this little adjustment I need to make, I think this gun is awesome, and I am thrilled to keep it forever, as this is going to be part of a permanent collection that I'm going to have. Thanks, everybody.